Hello my friends, Mia DeBolt here, bringing you more transparency in trading. Thank you so much for joining me on day one of my repeat FTMO challenge. So over a week has transpired since I got my repeat challenge on the funded trader, and I've put that on the back burner for now because I really want to focus on one prop firm at a time. That's going to be my new strategy moving forward, is just focusing on FTMO first and foremost. I really love this prop firm. It's a great prop firm to start with. It may have high expectations as far as profits, but it is one of the best as far as spreads and really keeping their word and having rules that are very transparent, as well as being a reputable company. So today was day one of my FTMO repeat challenge. This is my second repeat challenge in a row. So if you haven't already, subscribe below so that you're following my journey along this prop firm challenges, as well as when I actually am funded and all the trades that I take along the way. So a little backstory: I don't trade NFP week. I don't like to trade it because it's so volatile, and I'm not a super aggressive trader. According to my data, it's just not a great week for me to trade. So I didn't start my challenge last week, and I've been ultra patient this week to actually start my challenge because I've been waiting for kind of the premier setup. I know that we're in a bearish environment, but I just haven't been taking any kind of trades. I've really been waiting for CPI events to transpire yesterday, and then today I was really ready to go. I saw a setup and I was ready to actually pull the trigger. All right, so without further ado, let's jump into the charts. So this morning the S&P was actually pushing down. I saw a big bearish 1 hour candle, and so this is kind of when I hopped on the chart. So 5:30 my time, so 5:30 Pacific Standard Time, PPI numbers were being dropped, and so that was going to be a really volatile time. So I wasn't really thinking about trading until the equity open at 6:30. Okay, so this is what I saw. I was really looking at these daily fair value gaps. So I had the daily wick of the constant encouragement, or 50% of the daily wick from the previous day, and so I had that set up as well. So these are all areas where price could really come in and make a reaction. So I'm really endeavoring to make my charts a lot more clean so that I can see price action, so I know where higher time frame points of interest are, but also I don't get bogged down with too much of the detail and too much of the mechanics. Okay, so this is kind of where I started looking at the equity open. It pushed up a little bit. There was a big open range gap, and so I don't like to sell when there's a big open range gap above. However, I did feel like price was going to push down some more, so I wasn't quite sure if it was going to push down to the daily low or if it was going to just have some standard deviation point of interest and reverse. This is where I start marking up my chart. I have the 50% of the swing already ready. And what I love about this position is that there's a 1 minute volume imbalance right here, as well as a daily fair value gap, this blue line, and this new week open gap. So there's this new week open gap right here, and as long as it's being respected and price is continuing to go down, then I was really comfortable actually selling. So I have 1% on this, and I kind of chickened out. I was wanting to start my challenge at 2%, but I actually started at 1%. And so I actually said to myself that if this opens lower, then I was going to sell. The candle opened lower, and so I pushed sell, and so this is where I was targeting, was this daily low. So there's also this open range gap in the green that was also unfilled. So we had an open range gap from the actual session itself, and then we also had this target down here. So I wasn't quite sure how far price was going to go. We are kind of ranging in the 1 hour, so we're kind of going sideways for the S&P, but there's kind of a mixed bag too. NASDAQ was really strong, and there's a lot of divergence, and so this is kind of a trade that could have gone my way, or I could have gotten stopped out. So let's see what happens. After about 4 minutes of consolidation under here, it does start to elongate and to go down nicely. All right, so I'm in some profit, and I don't actually move my stop until we make a new low. So we do make a new low. I move my stop to break even. It shouldn't go any higher than this new week open gap. And I was looking at where we were in the higher time frame. So we're at 100% of the standard deviation from the swing that it made during the news, and now we're kind of accumulating. So I'm again going to fast forward this because it does end up just kind of going back and forth. On the 5-minute, it was just kind of eking down and making a pattern that I don't really like to see, because it typically means that it's going to be reversing very soon. So this is where I'm actively managing my stop. I have it above the 1-minute breaker right here, so I'm not looking for a price to go any higher than that 1-minute candle, and I just kind of wait for this to actually transpire. So I kind of move my stop up and down, but it's in profit, so even if it got hit, I would be in profit. I have the 1-minute fair value gap, the last one, and so this should keep price down. There's also the daily consequent encroachment of the fair value gap, and so this again should elongate and make a 1-minute candle to the downside if it's going to continue down. So that's what I'm waiting on. That's what I'm waiting to see. And again, we're in a place where it could definitely turn around. It's creating liquidity on both sides, and so this is where it does come down. I have almost 2% if I had closed it right there. However, I have this 1-minute fair value gap set up so that I can see if the candles do close above it, then I'm looking to actually close this trade altogether. Okay, so it starts elongating, creating 1-minute fair value gaps to the upside. This was kind of a market structure shift, and I do end up closing this before it actually hits my trailed stop. So I got 1% out of this trade. I didn't trade anymore for the rest of the day. So I walked away after a little bit of watching price action, seeing what it would do, kind of checking in on the PM session. And so this is the 5-minute price action that I was talking about. It was kind of slowing down here towards the daily wick, consequent encroachment. And I don't really like seeing these wicks kind of go down, because very easily it could spike up and take all of that liquidity there. So anybody who is trailing their stops was going to get stopped out. This 5-minute fair value gap was closed in, and then of course in the PM session it actually ended up reversing altogether and started to close the open range gap that it had left from the morning session. Okay, so I did check into the PM session. There was nothing that I really wanted to trade. I don't want to buy because we are in a seasonal tendency of bearishness, and so I'm only looking to sell. And so this was a trade that I wanted to start my challenge on. So in retrospect, seeing that 5-minute kind of reversal pattern, I should have just closed out and been happy with 1.5% or whatever it was that I ended up with. So I'm happy with the way that I managed this trade. Of course, there's things that I could have done differently. However, I felt like my entry was really solid, as well as the analyst and the trader were in the driver's seat at all times, and the gambler was taking a back seat. In retrospect, of course, I could have taken more profits had I waited for that break in structure and maybe taken 80% off or whatnot. So that's what I would do differently, is just take off most of it when it actually hit the top of that new week open gap, and then of course just leave the stop where it was, and of course it would have gotten stopped out. So my friends, I hope that you're enjoying this journey with me. If you haven't already, subscribe below, because the day of me passing phase 1 as well as becoming a fully funded trader and then eventually a 7-figure trader, it will happen. As long as I continue to focus on being a profitable trader as opposed to being right, that's what's going to get me to my end game. And I hope that you can focus on that in your trading as well. It really doesn't matter that we're right in our trading, it matters that we're profitable. So that means really analyzing and tape reading and doing all the things that ICT teaches, as well as having some guidelines as to what you don't want to see in a trade, when you can exit. Those are things that I'm still refining for myself, and obviously I will share that with you as well. So my friends, I hope that you got something of value from today's video, and I look forward to bringing more trades to you like this as I continue my journey with the FTMO challenge and as I continue my journey to the 7-figure funded mark. All right, my friends, I'll see you in the next trade. Bye.